désirez vous coiffer ou vous refaire une beauté, perdre du poids, obtenir un stage ou une formation en esthétique et coiffure, KLML Fashion a la solution pour vous. Situé au centre équestre derrière le consulat face direction témoin de Jéhovah, KLML Fashion vous offre des services tels que la vente de thé amincissant 100% naturel qui favorise votre système de santé, la vente de compléments alimentaires 100% naturels de la compagnie Yikong International permettant de prévenir les maladies cardiovasculaires, la nutrition et les nettoyages de la prostate entre autres, coiffure mixte pour hommes, femmes et enfants, pédicure et manicure, onglerie, massage, soins de visage, sauna et bien sûr un make-up professionnel. Alors n'hésitez plus, contactez le 699 11 13 34 671 25 58 29 ou encore le 655 76 56 91. KLML Fashion, un cadre agréable et une équipe de professionnels.
Traditional rulers of the West region took the nation by storm, coming up with a declaration calling for an end to the ongoing Anglophone crisis. They equally made very strong proposals and positions with respect to the ongoing socio-political tensions in the country. Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime. This day we are going to be looking at the declarations of some traditional rulers of the West region. Many persons are asking whether they are more concerned with what is happening in the Northwest and Southwest regions than the Southwest chiefs and the fronts of the Northwest, equally calling on all the traditional rulers in the nation to come out and get involved to seeking a lasting solution to the Anglophone problems. We are going to be discussing this core topic with our panelists, two of whom are already in the studio with us. Fa Elvis Tayong, militant of the CRM, Cameroon Renaissance Movement. He is the Under Secretary for Communication for that party. We're glad to have you. Good evening and welcome.
Thanks very much, Kundunat, and it's my pleasure meeting another level-headed co-panelist who is with us here today, and I think that we will be contributing our modest contribution. Meanwhile, just to let people know that we think that you have to say the truth, and the truth shall set you free.
Okay, we will know the truth, and the truth is going to set all of us free. Also, with us in the studio is Kotem Princewil. He is a militant of the MP3 political movement. We're glad to have you once again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Good evening to all the televiewers out there. At this stage in time where the country finds itself, I think it is very pertinent that we actually diagnose some of these pertinent issues that are burning the country down. Thank you.
We are expecting Prince Joel to join us in the course of the program, and Elizang of the CPDM party. He was mandated by his party to be part of this edition of the program. We hope he joins us. Now, I'll start with you, for Elvis Tayong. Your first reaction when you saw this letter from the traditional rulers of the West region?
Well, I have two reactions. The first one is that I appreciate what they have done, and I begin to ask myself, is it a normal routine that someone should cry more than they bereave? Because what they're doing is very good. But the question now is, had it came from the funds of the Northwest and the chiefs in the Southwest, would have known that probably people are feeling the pinch. So if somebody outside your main house can cry foul for you, just like CRM cries foul for the ongoing crisis in the North and the Southwest, until we refuse to go in for elections, which people have spoken up and down, and we say we are not going to today, until we have made protests still for the war to end in the North and Southwest, until we are giving tear gases, we are put in prison. So if you look at it, what the traditional rulers in the West have done, it is quite laudable. On the other hand, I think that we have bypassed the stage of declarations. People have spoken, women have come together. Whether it was Takember women or not Takember, we call them queen mothers from the Northwest region, were equally at the grandstand in Bamenda. The Mafos, rather, thank you, the Mafos, were equally carrying out the same move. And so my question is, with all these declarations, can it bring the crisis to an end? If no, then I'm more concerned with actions. But as I said earlier, you must appreciate somebody for even talking who is not even in your direct house. Meanwhile, the chiefs in the southwest and the northwest are busy carrying on with campaigns. When people are dying every day, they are not serious. They are not serious at all. So, if we go by the example of the traditional rulers in the west, I am sure that even though they are late, but it's better to be late than never. If we have other rulers from the south, the east, the Adamawa who comes, I think that before you know it, there will be a general platform. The worst of it is that the president of traditional rulers in the country comes from the northwest region. It is even another shame that with the portfolio the president of the traditional rulers in the country hosts nationwide, who is from the northwest region, but we don't see that kind of movement orchestrated. Why? Because they are in politics, the politics, senators and other like. That's why I say that the error the traditional rulers did was to be engulfed, allowed to be swallowed by politics. And as a result of that, they see the killings as less concerned. So we give kudos to the traditional rulers from the West region from the bottom of my heart.
Kotem, Prince Will, your reaction to this move by traditional rulers of the West region?
Thank you very much. It is really a welcoming one. I want to put it that way. Why? We know the name when you pronounce it, Kotem Prince Will. Kotem Prince Will. It's a name from the northwest region, particularly from the Ngokutunja and Balikumbat, to be precise. I come from that area where it is the grassland region, where we have that attitude. In my village we have it fun. And the funds are these are people who are highly respected. So too it is with those from the West region. We realize that the people from the West region, just like those from the Northwest region, have a common denominator when it comes to the geopolitical jurisdiction which they actually have, and this has to do with checks and balances. It is not a surprising one. The funds of these chiefs in the West region actually came up to make these declarations. But like Elvis actually said, we have gone past the time of declarations because so many people have actually made declarations, but nevertheless it is a welcoming one. Why? Because if you look at actually the declarations which they put out, it is something which has to do with the present situation which the country is actually facing. They talked about regional equality. They went about to talk about electoral to revise electoral laws and so many more, which means that, and we also have to understand that this the northwest shared boundary with the west, which therefore means that the pains, those who are running from the northwest, those who are running from other part of the region, even from the southwest, most of them reside in the west. And it goes further to also explain to show their cry. Why? Because they feel they actually feel that touch. This is because I can remember the last time when there was an incident at somewhere at Galim. You remember Galim? If you discover Galim is the boundary between the northwest and the west region, which therefore means that they have actually been feeling this pain for a long time, and because they fall within this category of chiefs, of persons who have actually come a long way when it comes to checks and balances, the leaders being accountable to their subject, they could not fold their arms and stay back and watch what is going on. I think it is really timely at this moment which they come up with these declarations. But the question which I ask myself is, the funds of the Northwest, where are they? Because recently we saw the fund being I don't want to say kidnapped, but being taken away by unknown men.
Yeah, we remember did not even issue a statement.
That is where I'm coming to. He was being taken away, and none of the other counterparts, none of the other funds, none of the Norways, you have funds of funds and the like. Where are they? We didn't hear any of them. Instead, the funds of the West region are the one coming in order to cry the foul of. I don't understand what is happening, but today you will discover they are talking about regional elections which are coming up. And I ask myself, it is true the funds and the chiefs have a place in the regional council, but yes, what type of place do they have? That's why if you look at the declarations and the recommendations which the funds actually, the chiefs in the West region actually put in their declaration, one of them was the institution of a house of chief at the national level, which the MP3 has been crying for a long period of time now. The movement for patriotism and people's prosperity has been singing this, because we discovered that the chiefs and the funds within our traditional society have been at the center point of rulership. Before the administration came into place, we had the chiefs and funds who were ruling the territory which is known today as Cameroon. So we understand that these chiefs and the funds, they have a very vital place in the community, especially those from the northwest and the west. And this has been manifested with what they have actually brought up. They have actually put as one of their recommendations that the government should, or the state should, try to see how they can give them a place, more of a consultating organ. This is what the MP3 put forth. The MP3, it is true that the government is adamant to listen to other people. They are pushing for their decentralization and so forth. But MP3 had earlier proposed, it is true, we are more of federalists, but we had actually proposed a federal state, wherefore we would eliminate the upper house of the parliament and replace it with the House of Chiefs, the National House or the Federal House of Chiefs. And this Federal House of Chiefs, they are going to serve as a consultative organ and not as a legislative organ. With this way, you see that the funds and the chiefs will not be engaged again with party politics, leaving them to be vulnerable in the hands of their subject and leaving them to be kidnapped, of which before they engage themselves into party politics, you could not see a single subject who wants to greet the fund and will come maybe 2 meters close. But today, a subject have that courage to kidnap the fund, to take away the fund, and nobody cries for them. We think they need a vital place.
Okay, no. Can we say that the chiefs are coming out now, because you raised the issue of why now that they may be late? Do you not think that they've waited for the government to solve the issues to no avail, for the separatists maybe to get to something understandable, and to no avail for the international community to do something, and nothing is forthcoming? Maybe the religious authorities also, and they think that as the fathers of the land, they should do something.
I will not really think so, because we're talking about 4 years and above running, which means that even from the first year, the second year, the declarations would have equally come. Now, if I look at their declarations, as Muta said, it's quite good, because we have to appreciate before we start complaining that at least they made a declaration, even though the kangaroo system we have in Yaoundé, you could make declarations you like, but they will be looking at you, because to them is that after the declaration, what next? That's how the kangaroo system functions in Yaoundé. Now, if you look at the way the chiefs put it, as we said, they are late, but we still appreciate that. But one of the main reasons that pushes them to come in is the economic and the security aspect that affects them directly because of the borderline. If you are in Buda, for example, and you get to Babaju, you get to realize that all the security posts have been reinforced. You'll find backs in front of the brigades, the police station, because they had sometimes ruggedness incursions and attacks from the part of Santa moving over to where they are. If you go to Galim, along that border, you find the same scenario. If you are in the Noon area, you discover that it's the same thing. Now, so what happens here is that for them, it doesn't speak well for them, because the aftermath of it is also heavier on their part. You realize that a bulk of the internally displaced, like those from Gokutunja, they are in the Noon already, in their numbers. And you know that you have some villages over there, Bambalang and other, like they share some common ancestral characteristics with those in the west and the Noon area.
Lebialem are in Chang.
Now, Lebialem, they are in Chang. So you discover that with these characteristics, the people move over. Now, if you look at it critically, and you realize that wherever you see people moving, in terms of internally being displaced, just the way you have issues of refugees, insecurity becomes on the rise. Because there are people who need to survive. There are some girls who need to prostitute to survive. There are some boys who need to sometimes go extra miles. Maybe they're living in a small tiny house, 10 or 12 of them, and they have to go digging people's cassava in the farm just to survive. So you see, crime waves likely increases if when these scenarios step in. So that's the issue we find here in the West region. And so when the traditional rulers come up, as I said, it's a good thing, but they are looking at what is revolving around them. that they are not even free the way they used to be before, because you will not keep your thing and you come and see it as you would expect, because a hungry man is an angry man, and a man who is hungry has a possibility, if not well nurtured spiritually, he wants to steal because he needs to survive. So these are some of the prevailing circumstances that I think must have forced these traditional rulers. But as I said earlier, when we look at the things surrounding their declaration, we begin to say that if this declaration means business, we think that they are supposed to unite more and make more drastic declarations. We'll expect to see them marching on the street in a peaceful manner and insisting, moving towards like the governor of the West region and saying, Mr. Governor, please can you challenge our problem to the hierarchy because we are not comfortable. Because these are the things that they don't want to tell you. They cannot just be champion for no reason. I'm sure if there was no aspect of insecurity or the attack at the Gendarmerie station in Galim, where some officers were killed and other like, I'm sure it would not have bothered the chiefs. It comes back to the fact that if all is not well, because if you come here in Douala, the women who used to sell at Bashir, who used to buy from Ekona and other like, they will tell you it's not going. So they no longer have that one business, but they don't have the power or the means to express themselves. But since as in the West, traditional rulers are direct contact of the sufferings and they see with the people every day, I think that's the reason why you see them coming up.
Okay, I want us to look at some of the issues raised in that declaration. They say they decry the deepening rifts between the opposition and the government, the ruling party. Is it what is new between when we look at the relationship that is has been ongoing between the opposition and the ruling party? We know that militants of the CRM are in prison and a host of others. Are there some key elements that have changed the dynamics or the rapport between the ruling CPDM party and the opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. So if we look at that declaration carefully, we'll see there are some elements which are very vital. One of them, they talked about the relationship between the power in place, the government in place, and the opposition. They also talked about a possible peaceful transition.
We are going to, yes. But I want us to paint a picture of the rapport between government and opposition now.
Yes.
You are a member of the opposition.
Of course.
Yes.
Of course. But I want to be honest with you. When they talk about the members of the opposition, I want to be precise. I am part of the opposition, and you know the relationship that has been with the ruling party and the opposition, which is that of fierce crackdown. The government is doing no nonsense business with the opposition, and precisely I want to point out, I know they are attacking nearly all the opposition, but they are some of those key oppositions which they are really cracking down on. And if you discover what these key opposition parties, most of their militants actually come from this region, and this is in relation to
the West region.
They come from the West region, and you discover that the chiefs from the West region are actually feeling the burden too, because this has led if you go further, you realize that it is something which is synonymous, it's something which is continuous. They talked about the fact that there has been tribalism. The government in place is using the tool of tribalism and hate speech in order to separate more and to put more gap between the opposition and the ruling party. And we discover that if there's the aspect of hate speech, there's an aspect of tribalism. Who are those to suffer more? Of course, their sons and daughters. What they say, more the sons and daughters from this West region. So this therefore brings more havoc and put more pain on them and put more burden on them. So it is really a topic which they needed to tackle. And if they did not tackle this topic, then I would have seen them some sort of like some people who are doing some mass stuff. But it's true they came out clear, because most of their sons and daughters are really suffering from this. It is true Cameroonians as a whole are suffering from it, but most of their sons and daughters are suffering from it. And they went forward to look at the diaspora. They said the government, because we discover the diaspora is some sort of opposition to the government in place as well. So they talked about the diaspora. The government should be able to make a relationship, make a dialogue, call the diaspora into place.
Why is the situation between the opposition and the government, why, according to you, is it getting very dirty, very nasty?
Mr. Leo, you know we are in that country where the government in place has actually made 38 years and plus, where you have this type of government where they believe in the force of experience. They start understanding that there are people who are adamant to change and will never want to let go of power. And it is not surprising. It's not surprising that the main opposition party, which, like I said before, came from this region, it is hitting hard on them. And the head of this opposition party has been part of them. And at this stage, it is believed that no one, or there is no need for any political transition as others are calling for. There is no need for any change because they hold that the country is moving well and there is no need for anything, of which we know very well what is going on back there in the northwest and southwest, which the oppositions are calling on that the government should take a look into it. But they claim that there is no problem. Okay. A government who says that there is no problem back there in the northwest and southwest, how do you expect them to react to the opposition? Of course, their reaction will be no different from that of the 22nd March. Okay.
Now, the government, according to the chiefs of the West region, is becoming the more and more intolerant to criticism, tying with what he said earlier on. Is the government becoming the more insensitive to the need for better democratic practices, or why are the chiefs saying that it is becoming the more intolerant towards criticism? Were they more tolerant in the past?
Well, you know, when a regime takes over anew, there's a possibility that when you are carrying out comparative analysis, you see the new regime as being promising, and so all the positive aspects surrounding governance you could easily attribute to such a regime. For example, when President Paul Biya took over from Amadou Ahidjo, many people jubilated. There was a lot of joy. People saw him like the Messiah who has come to revamp things in Cameroon and all the like. But the question now is, as time went on, 5 years, 6 years into it, were the aspirations of the people being met? No. It started dwindling, especially when we entered the economic crisis and all the like. So when you see the chiefs making a declaration of that nature, talking about the government becoming intolerant and all the like, it is simply a manifestation of a dictatorial regime. Now, look at the chiefs who signed that document. You will see these are what we call neutral chiefs. People who have portfolios in them. About 7 of them signing issues of that nature. But you realize that a bulk of part of the other chiefs in this West region are ruling party inclined. You will not find them on those kind of documents because then it's like biting the finger that fits you. So the main issue, the message which goes through from these traditional rulers is to tell you that the government is a dictatorial one. And because the government is dictatorial, the government is willing to do all they can to crack down on anyone who dares to step on their shoes. And CRM is at the center. If you ask me what is my Vice President Amadou Bota doing in prison, I will not be able to explain to you. If you ask me what is Barrister Mispa Awasum, the President of the Women's Wing, doing in prison, and they tell you, no judgment, they just send you direct to Kodenge, and you know. So you can imagine the kind of dictatorial system. So when you look at a governance system whereby rule of law is absent, whereby separation of power is absent, it suits into the proper context of what the traditional rulers are just saying. So at the end of it, we have been talking, and we keep talking. And what the regime simply does is they are only waiting. When Mr. Fast shows his head up, they look for what we call motive in French and attach, bam, and he's gone. And they tell you that you have these jails of severe term for this period of time. You know, we have learned several legal jargons that because when you are in a dictatorial regime, they have all it takes to begin to survive under intimidation. And so when I look at what the traditional rulers have said, you know, all in all, it's cutting into my mind and giving me the comparative analysis that the ones in the northwest, southwest are really the ones killing the people in the northwest and the southwest. If not, how come on earth that this kind of outing, which is straight to the point, comes out, yet those in the northwest, southwest are sleeping and they are busy parading the way they were in Limbe in the name of campaign? And I start asking my question, do they even have the conscience to think of what is happening to the subjects? They have. Those who are dying,
yeah, but
like so.
What says that they are not campaigning so that they can get more powers to do even better than what their counterparts of the West region are saying?
Mr. Kum,
because they are going to constitute the
House
of Chiefs now.
It is an error already. If I tell you that these chiefs in the southwest and northwest and the fronts in the northwest are campaigning so that they should get powers to defend the people, is a lie. Why am I saying so? First, the issue of regional election is a fiasco. It is a kangaroo system that will not offer any. I keep saying this thing over and over. Why? Because if I look at the modus operandi of regional councils and the House of Chiefs, where you only make proposals and the head of state has a prerogative to accept or not to accept, it means that you form what we call a think tank group that is just to take decisions, waiting for the head of state to either adopt or not. What therefore is your use? And I keep telling people, if the kangaroo law-making house in Yaoundé, the National Assembly and the Senate, who has the human prerogative powers to have changed things, cannot change, is the regional councils that are going to change. It means it is a setup whereby they want to compensate people for working for the regime. In Northwest region, it's a one-party system. Southwest is a one-party system. Of course, you got them today at the council today, gallivanting and jubilating, because they know that they have already won. At the end of it, these chiefs and regional councils will be put in there, will only go to help consume the state budget. There is nothing they can do to change what Yaoundé has planned against the people.
And I may just want to add something to that. What is different about this election, what will make this election different from that of the 9th of February and that of 2018? Of course, nothing is going to make it different. Why? Because we realized during the 9th of February polls, what happened? People were jubilating before the results were coming out.
Yeah, but these elections, you can't compare this with.
Of course, we can't really compare because they are indirect.
No, even the fact that they are indirect, we already know that the CPDM has a majority municipal councillors across all 10 regions. So,
and that is one of the reasons.
So why are you trying to compare February to what's happening now?
No, what I'm trying to say here is that this election is not going to be different from the others. Why? Because even those that are going to be voted are still going to be submissive to the head of state, which therefore means whatever rule or whatever decision we want to make will not still be within their competence, but we're going to be under the what they say in French, haute institution, the chef de l'État.
Even the chiefs.
What have the chiefs been doing before now? That is a question.
They are now going to be acting under the council of the House of Chiefs now.
No, the House of Chiefs. What are the functions and what are the powers of the House of Chiefs?
That is the question.
That is the question. They are more some sort of proposition. They make propositions, and propositions that you make are subject to a yes or a no. And what makes you think if you make a proposition which is against the interest of the person you are representing or the person who is heading your party, what happens? Of course, is no. This has been visible with the National Assembly. What happens in the National Assembly? Majority is the ruling party. Have we heard about what are the bills that have been passed there? Only few of these people who try to distinguish themselves are trying to make a difference, but are their voices heard? Of course, no. That is why for 4 to 5 years today, nothing has been said concerning the Anglophone crisis. No serious thing has been taken, and things keep going on. They keep legislating bills and keep making drawing finance bills, which the greater share is being used to buy weapons to still inflict pains on their citizens in the name of protecting their citizens. No. There's not going to be any difference when it comes with these elections that is coming up and the previous ones, because those who are going in there are just going to represent their stomachs and to represent the head of their parties.
Okay, the chiefs of the West regions decry the fact that the laws of the land, the constitution, so far has not been respected by both government officials and members of the opposition. How do we explain this? Are the opposition members and the government above the law of the land?
Well, it is not that they are above the law as per the written documents, but practically, when you dine with the powers that be, you become above the law. That is how it is. And so at the end of it, when you look at the declaration the chiefs are making, you realize that so long as you are carrying out things that will be in consonance with the ideologies from Yaoundé, you are backed up. I said something about FACO sometime, and I said, if you look at the way the SGO in FACO had mingled with the files of the chiefs who were going in, by holding the files when he was not even supposed to meddle with it, under normal condition, that thing was supposed to have attracted a punishment.
Yeah, but the names of these chiefs.
No, we know they were reinstated.
They were reinstated.
No,
yeah.
Mr. Leo is very clear. The moment you are a duo and you mingle by getting even the files which you are not supposed to get, it really becomes unlawful. What if the chiefs themselves never knew their right to have brought in their lawyers to fight for their right? It means that wrong persons would have been in place, whereas it was a simple maneuver put in place by administrative authority under willful acts, surely under some instruction from somewhere that nobody knows. So at the end of it, when you see that you are dancing to the tune of the state, you can file the loss. You can file the loss, no wahala. But the moment that you want to jeopardize the modus operandi of the state, you become a victim. So we think that the laws of the land are supposed to be respected by each and everyone. How do you explain that when they put in place the aspect of decentralization, 1996, it takes more than 26 years.
Yes.
It is not even seen the light of day as we speak even now.
And now let's talk about effective.
And then that's it about now. The statement has changed from decentralization now to effective decentralization. Now, if we're in a country where you have the rule of law, just the fact that it was a delay, even the head of state would have gotten a sanction for not implementing that for all this while and changing the slogans. But where are we today? So as a result of that, some people somewhere have the special maneuver because they want to stay where they are, and they hide behind the law.
The chiefs are saying that even members of the opposition do not respect the law.
No, what about members of the opposition? It depends now on which context you're looking at it. For example, if you have a law that talks about public manifestation, that says that if you are a legal party or a legal entity like MP3, for example, and you want to carry manifestation, you are always supposed to notify the administration. And the administration has the right, seeing your notification, now to only accompany security forces to follow your itinerary and how you are supposed to move, given the specific hours or the period that you have given, and then after that you go home. But what do we find here? In a case where we are even at the level of just wanting to declare intention to protest or to manifest, or certain things are not moving, you've seen the rejection, the file up. No potable water or the like. But just a declaration to the Geo of Marwa 2, because we want to carry a move. The father is coming from a particular political party, that is CRM, that is a constant menace to the ruling party. Everything gets rejected. Do you see that it becomes now? It looks now as if CRM is one violating the law, whereas the government has pushed the party to the wall because the government does not want that party to express their wish, which is totally contrary to the system put in place.
Okay, just to tell our televiewers that the CPDM has mandated somebody to be part of this edition of the program. Unfortunately, he's not here yet. We hope he makes it. Yeah,
maybe just to add something again to that, in order to exhibit the emptiness of these upcoming elections, you realize somewhere around their declaration, the chiefs made mention of the fact that they appreciate the decentralization process which is going on, but they went further to propose to the government that there should be some sort of a rearrangement so that there can be the separation of power between the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. That brings to mind the fact that there is some sort of power mingling among them, and there is no separation of power. And wherever, of course, we know where there is no separation of power, they can be the function of the state belongs to one person. They even went further to talk about the revision of the electoral law. That the electoral law should be looked into consensually. This further portrays the fact that whatever thing which is coming up in the name of regional elections and whatever implementation of decentralization is just a window dressing. We should go further to put Cameroon into more chaos and more bloodshed, and we see that the crisis is going to continue if the government does not want to listen to the people. It is rather unfortunate that whatever cry that has been coming on have always remained just tears, and nothing has been done about it.
It is not power in man that makes him who he or she is as a Christians, but the life we live that makes us who we are. Then what do we need to do? Just to be a follower of Christ with all your heart. 1 Corinthians 11:1, and it shall be well. ENB divine, the voice of restoration. Okay, thank you for sharing. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Most of the chiefs in the northwest and southwest are corrupt by the government. Joya is writing from Ndop. Good evening to you, Joya. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. Is Mifira Dayabu writing from Balikumbat. I greet you all in the house. Greet that my brother for me.
Thank you.
He's gotten your greetings. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the panelists. Mr. Liu, it's a shame for the funds and the chiefs of the northwest and southwest regions, while those funds living in the west regions are coming together Those of the Northwest and Southwest are divided because most of them have spoiled their hands in politics. Greetings to the kangaroo man, McFish, writing from my 4 in Limburg. Good evening to you, McFish. Good evening, Mr. Liu. You all the traditional have played their part. There can be no smoke without fire. Let's wait and see. The days are pregnant if care is not taken. Emmanuel is writing from Tico. The traditional rulers are raising this issue of regional balance. That was a good intention by government to give equal opportunities to all the regions, but they say it is kept aside for favoritism in Cameroon today.
Oh yes, you know, the regime in Yaoundé is the master planner of all the setbacks that we are currently going through.
Is it the regime or some persons within
the regime in Yaoundé? They are hearing me very well, they know what I'm talking about. The regime in Yaoundé is responsible, because if you are the head of a house, Mr. Liu, and your house is not moving well, you are the cause of it. If your house is moving well, people praise you for governing your house well. If it's not moving, you don't come and say that there are some people, because if you have a monitoring mechanism, that is why we have what we call in politics political accountability. When you have in place the necessary measures to curb or to check on how governance is moving, you can easily get a feedback system that tells you whether this measure you are put in place is working for the good of the people or not. Unfortunately, the entourage put in place, because they have expired brains around the head of state, keeps recycling one and the same thing, and they give the president to report that all is well when all is not well. And that's why we said that the only thing that can change this country is when power changes hands. If we are talking about the present regime now, we will talk today, tomorrow, and the day after, and nothing is changing. In the aspects of tribalism and all the like, we have seen the indicators on the ground. I said earlier, first, the government uses the policy of divide and rule. When they realized people are becoming so strong, one of the senior government officials came to the Southwest sometime and talked about the problems in the Southwest is caused by those in the Northwest. What was that? A policy of divide and rule. And for those that did not understand the problem very well, they took up to some persons in the Northwest and took them as enemies. Now, when people are divided, a dictatorial regime rejoices, because as they divide, they work for the favor of the dictators in power and how they can put their policy through and work against the people. Now, when that official spoke and left, the issues, another one came in. We had the syndrome of what we call come no go, put in place by an official in the government, and it brought a whole problem in the Southwest region. You could see how the mentality is working, masterminded by the regime. If you look at the issue of tribalism, the chief spoke well. How do you explain that in Enam, a public institution, regional balance that was early earmarked and found in the constitution as per how you get people recruited from different regions, out of a sudden, it has been abandoned for more than 20 years, and you find persons topping the chart from the same region and from the same division in a line. You see that people think that we are fools. I've been telling you that you might think that people are fools. They are no longer fools as you think. They found that some people stay quiet because of the intimidation tactic. Does not mean that others will stay the same. So, if you look at it, the chiefs are very correct. The issues of when you form a political party, when the regime sees that a political party is fast becoming a problem to them, they look for a tribalistic connotation and attach to it. So, I'm party the Bamileke. They give that connotation so that anybody who wants to come in from another angle will see it brought from now a tribalistic tendency. Whereas it's a national party certified by the government himself. So, if you look at it, the regime plays a ping-pong game that bounces back on them, and the same people come back on air to preach Vivo Ensemble. Which Vivo Ensemble are they talking about? They are all clowns. Clowns of the first order.
Okay, please, I just want to use this opportunity. It's true that the funds and the chiefs in the Northwest and Southwest, most of them have been so redundant and absent in this. But to be honest, there are some few of them who are actually doing a great job back there, which I want to use this opportunity to salute the great effort of the fund of Balikumbat, His Royal Highness Ganyan III, who has been taking upon him to sensitize and make sure. You do remember the Balikumbat in Gokutunja is one of those villages where it is hardly hit by the separatists and the likes. But this fund which is a very elegant and eloquent young man, has done he's doing his possible best, just like the father did, the lion himself, Fondo Gagwain. They are doing a very good job back there in order to help curb this issue. But I want to talk about concerning this issue of regional balance. Mr. Leo, I may want to differ from Mr. Elvis in the sense that when we talk about, when we speak too much about the system, Mr. Bia and Mr. Bia, that's why I want to differ from him, because the system is not Bia. The system are those people whom Bia had appointed and appoint other people. When you look at the regional balance issue, and he took the example of Enam, I want to say, when you look at Enam very well, you discover that this is one of the main machineries in which the regional balance, it is not achieved.
It's not respected.
It's not respected. Why? Because Enam has become a tool to maintain power for those dictators in power. Why? This is because if you come from a particular region where they think that those people from that region may not accept with the powers in place, because remember, Enam produces people to execute a particular order and to keep someone in power, rather than produces people who will go out there to serve the population. So if your region and those in your region are those people who think that you coming into this place, you might cause havoc and chaos in the future, they may not want to make that mistake to put you. And another thing is, most of our elites back in our regions take those places and those chances and sell them out. We should be capable of pointing them out. Most of the problems also come from us. We should be capable of pointing them out. I've been in occasion where students will tell me, or other people will tell me, I had this position and I had to give to this, they were supposed to be for us, and I was being told that he sold it. And some others, I remember there's a parliamentarian who actually told one young man, I had 6 places to give out, and sorry, it's just one that is left. And the 6 places he had from his constituency, we could not see any person who was choosing from there. So who did they give the 5 other places to? That is the question we need to ask them. So at the level of regional balance, we should also think and look at those people we are sending for to go and represent us, because most of them represent our stomachs and our immediate family. But the whole global aspect of regional balance, it is a myth and a fiction. Why? Because it direct gear and is directed towards maintenance of power of the dictator rather than distributing power within the state.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love your program. We never knew we could have a transparent TV station which individuals can express their minds. My greetings to Mr. Fa Elvis Tayon. He speaks his mind without fear or favor. Long live to him. Gerard writing from the UK. Please, I'd like to have Mr. Elvis Tayon contact. He is a man of straightforward. I would like him to be next president of Cameroon. Gerard writing from the UK. Just call me or just send me a text after the program. I'll send you his number. Good night, Mr. Liu. I'm confused when people say we have chiefs and funds in the northwest and southwest. We have some CPDM militants representing the party in villages. The one in my village refuses to greet me with hands and greet women with hands in towns. Divine from Limbe. Please, Liu, tell that brother from my village that we don't have a phone. Okay. I don't know what I don't know. Good evening, Mr. Liu and crew. If the chiefs of Southwest and Northwest can stand just like these other chiefs in the West region, then we are heading to somewhere. My regards to the kangaroo man, Mo Grisel. Samuel is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Samuel. Okay, this one. Good evening, Mr. Liu and our cool panelists in the panel. Decentralization in Cameroon will never be effective in the hands of present regime. Chin Clinton Ekanyo Perinui writing from Douala. Good evening to you. Good evening to you all, especially the kangaroo man, Mr. Liu. There is no council elections, that is just an appointment. The kangaroo system has already appointed the people, so the election is only used to blindfold the US or us, I don't know. It's a shame to the chief of Northwest, which will stay quiet and go out for elections. I'm Legend Basil writing from Germany too. Okay, good evening to you, Basil. Good day to the panelists. This is Robert Moka from mile 14. Tell Mr. Elvis that I would like to work with him. He is the best man. Okay, he got your message, Mocha. Good evening, Mr. Liu. No amount of anger and outings by chiefs and other stakeholders can move this government, which is deaf and dumb. More so, the other 8 regions are comfortable with this current state of affairs. Ngole Hene is writing from Limbe. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Pastors of the conventional churches work in accordance with their ordination vows and the rules and regulations of their various denominations, so they can't operate like self-made pastors. Kingsley is writing from Boya. I don't know why you're writing this today. The declaration of the chiefs of the West is a welcome action. Their counterparts of the Northwest can't do this because they are CPDM stooges. Okay, the chiefs are saying that relations becoming strained between traditional rulers and administrative authorities. We are aware of what happened in the West region recently when the senior divisional officer asked a traditional ruler not to hold a meeting in the palace. We also are aware of what the standoff between the Dio and the traditional ruler in the South region, the lady.
Yeah.
And we also know of it, the standoff between another traditional ruler in the South region when the Dio went distributing COVID-19. To say that they say that increasingly traditional rulers and the administration, the relationship is going the more difficult.
Yes, it is dwindling, and dwindling drastically. You see, it's just like what my brother was saying, which I wanted to interject while coming back to what you're saying, where he said, you know, the issue is the people, is the kind of people the head of state is putting there. No. When a country fails, the head of state has failed. Let's not rigmarole. When America is failing in its policy until we start getting Trump being booted out, it's because Trump put the wrong persons there. And so Joe Biden worked on the wrong persons who helped in downgrading Trump's government, and that's what caused Trump the thing he went through. So, if you are a president, I keep saying this thing is very simple. Take the issue of your house. If you are in your house and everybody is quarreling, fighting your house, and you are a man sitting there, no, you are no longer a man. You are now a woman. In fact, no longer a woman. You are now a spectator in your house. Because before it gets to that level out of control where you can no longer control, it means that there were many errors you have been allowed to go through for a long time. You cannot tell me that with the millions of Cameroonians now, only old people are made to govern in Yaoundé. Why would there not be error? People who have expired in brain that are tired, they will obviously not be able to produce. It's by nature. You cannot tell me at the age of 70, I'm a minister of a powerful ministerial department and you're supposed to produce the best. The brains must be getting tired. And so, if the head of state is putting wrong people in place and the government is failing, you cannot convince Far Elvis style to say, no, it is the people are not the head of state. It is the head of state. If not, the right person will put in place to take his agenda ahead at the right time. That one is that one. If we come back now to the issues of the current quagmire that we are going through. Now, one thing is very clear, Mr. Liu, that as we move through during this period, as the chiefs are putting it clearly there, why is the relationship dwindling? Because the Yaoundé regime had carefully worked out a means to dwindle this relationship over time and to pocket the chiefs. That's the reason why if you go to former West Cameroon, the House of Chief was different. They had enormous powers. You could not find a chief summoned by a small 2 VIP gendarme or police. And today, you could be given a convocation as a chief. You come there, and the commandant, the brigade, or somebody else who's not even up to the rank of commandant tells you, go behind the counter and you go. You could imagine how they have been belittled. And how did it go, Mr. List? The chiefs are listening to me. The force are listening to me. It started very simple. First, they co-opted them into politics. And how did they do that? They send the very elites to come and meet them. Those elites were feeling fine in Yaoundé. And they told the chiefs that, see, if you don't support us, you'll be able to enjoy these amenities, development, water project, and all school projects. That's how most of the chiefs fell victim. And as the elites drew these chiefs into their political desire for selfish reasons and gains in Yaoundé, where the chiefs became the trumpets now for the government. Now, what is, if you look at the 1977 constitution talking about the classification of the chiefs and the role they play, 76 rather, what does it state? It calls them as auxiliary. It's an error. You cannot be a chief and an auxiliary. Because as auxiliary, by implication, it means that you are to the will and caprices of the TO. And so why do they complain? We were expecting these chiefs in the first place to have understood that particular terminology and to say no. We press on the National Assembly to change the terminology. They are supposed to be working hand in gloves with the administrator and not as auxiliary. And that's why a GO can get one morning and summon you, you start running and sweating under the sun because you need to attend a convocation at the GO's office. Look at the issue in Tiko, talk about the Tiko Diwala village. Look at the issue in the other villages, Bogajo and all the like. You don't blame the villagers because the situation is in the way that a faster chief who plays smart and works in line with the regime gets the favor. They could carve a new layout and give you to make your money. They could give you many other advantages to your own self first before your community. I mean, to your own self first before your community will get the crumbs. So at the end of it, the way they have been made, when the government instituted the issues of salary, I tell people it's not even salary, it is stipends. Because if you're a third class chief and you have 50,000 francs, and imagine you have a family to feed, 50,000 cannot survive you. If you're a lazy chief, then you are gone. If you are a second class chief on 100,000 francs and the first class on 150,000 francs, imagine if you have wives. For some of us who come from Northwest region, you spend that money even is more of an insult. So what have they done? They have been able to put this so that the chiefs who are vulnerable, they see this as a gift from the head of state that take with two hands for those who are lazy. And then at the end of it now, they begin to fear that, hey, if I do anything, this salary can be suspended afterwards for life. That's why I say that when my brother is hailing some chiefs around the corner, which I don't want to comment, but there are chiefs that if I call here, if I say the phone of Baba one, there's no one to dispute the fact that he is not into dirty politics. The phone of Baba one. So there are exemplary chiefs or funds rather that we can enumerate on air, and we see it visible on the ground. That's why for the enumerate on air, there are question marks that surrounds their existence. But at the end, I'm not here to run after any chief. My problem on the phone is that if they are supposed to be exemplary like the funds,
what accounts for the increased strained relationship between these chiefs and the administration?
The increase of the strain of the relationship is simple. It's for the fact that most of the chiefs who have first of all been pocketed have started realizing themselves, and for those that want to cut away from that close entanglement with the administration, they start being at loggerheads. It's simple. Because in a nutshell, the state knows now that they have succeeded in pocketing all the chiefs. That's why I said that if you look at the phone of Baba One, for example, he is not in dirty politics and he does his business. So what does he do? He does not sit to wait for a project to Moscow from the government for things to go in Baba One village. He becomes exemplary. So that's why if a GO or an SO is calling him, he calls him with respect. Because they weigh all the funds. When you make yourself bananas, monkeys will eat. I told you about a scenario where our forces in the Northwest region were humiliated in a funeral out there in the South region. And one of it, they were calling them royal beggars. And that thing was still on until we have been fighting at the level of media to unseat that condition they give to the forces in the Northwest as royal beggars. Why? Because at the time when they were moving closer, few of them who realized that it could not longer go, or they were being used by the power, by the regime, they had to start withdrawing. That withdrawal now, you must do the relationship because a GO knows that he has the authority over you. You cannot blame him. The law is telling him that you are his auxiliary. As chef-ter, as they put it in French, it means that, which is a wrong connotation. We are calling GO chef-ter. The real chef-ters are the traditional rulers. Now, when the GOs come and say they are chef-ters, at the end of it, they have the impression that they can even seize the land from here and give to A, or B, or C. They can mitigate land issues the way they like, and they are backed up by the senior division officers and the governors. At the end of it, where are the funds and the chiefs? That's why the relationship keeps doing, because the chiefs themselves, for those who are wise, are seeing that the relationship is no longer favorable to them and their people as they are taught. But for those who still think that they have to be dancing the Bafia dance with the regime, those are the ones that each time a GO is calling you, you are answering and shivering. Because you know that the GO is like a lot to you, who will determine how many hectares of land you will receive, or how many good things you can say in Yaoundé, so that they can give you one or two things. So, in a nutshell, Mr. Liu, we think that we are putting up these things so that the chiefs will be able to get up from sleep. It is true, we will not bring all of them back to limelight. Those who are already into party politics, those who are already rubbing hands and shoulders with the Yaoundé regime to come and deceive their people, you cannot take them away.
Maybe I should add something, okay? It is easier to be on air and say what will be where you get public acclamation, but the reality is different. It is time that Cameroonians tackle the problem as it is and not as they want it to be. Why do I say so? This is because the way we see things, most people have to, they always encroach on that part, that Mr. Biya. Where I hold Mr. Biya responsible for some of these problems is going in for the 2011 elections.
After then Mr. Biya has not been ruling the country, I will tell you, those who have been observant, those who have been open-eyed, they will realize that in most occasions, what type of person who is ruling a country is someone who you want to help him to can't lift his hands off, someone you want to help him to move, are you asking that's a ruler? From the moment which Cameroonians understand that the process of decentralization is scam, and we have to tackle individuals, we have to know that if you have the task of putting up and controlling the DDR center, it is your task and not Mr. Biya. If we know that it is your task for bilingualism, it's you and not Mr. Biya. If only when we start looking at these things and looking at things from the right angle, they will understand that
is holding the different institutions to task.
So hold the different institutions to task. Then we'll start getting solutions to some of these problems. And now I want to use this opportunity to say to some of those, like that my sister from the same village who spoke and said we don't have a fund. I think it was directed to me. I want to say some of these people had rubbed their hands into party politics, but as time goes on, some of them have realized themselves and what is going on, and they're struggling to do the right thing. And if they're struggling to do the right thing, we shouldn't push them out because they had engaged themselves. No, what we want is peace. People keep dying on daily basis, and so long as we continue with this decentralization, with this present government in place, I bet you even those funds are vulnerable. Why? Because with decentralization, we are talking about the country, the national territory in general, and not the Northwest and the Southwest. It is true they say the Northwest is being stated in the decentralization code that the Northwest and the Southwest has a special status, but the special status which we don't know. In reality, the funds in the Northwest and Southwest, since from the time from 1977, when the 1977 law reorganizing chiefdoms and putting them on salary, at that time, from that period of time, all the funds and the chiefs from the Northwest and Southwest, their hands were tied. Right to date, and to date they can't do anything except this system is being changed. That is why you realize the funds of the West region, one of their recommendations is that the state should sit and see how they can rearrange the institutional arrangements of the state. This, in other words, may also want to look at the form of the state. Why? Because without that, these people are vulnerable. You don't want to tell me that the fund of Saw or the fund of Baba or the fund of Bamukumbit is doing what it's doing because he likes to do it. No, the law has put it in place that ties them down. Remember the same law in law number 77 of the organizing chiefs in Article 10 and 11 lay down the rules in the ways in which a fund can be crowned. This is why we had some. When there was a period of time, I think it was 2019, when some of these funds tried to resist it, you discovered there were new funders that were pushing forward to be created. So when you have these squabbles between you and the administration that had earlier put you into a trap, then what will you do? The more you push in, the more you yourself you have to pay. And I'll bet you we are all human beings. We have to look at the institutions and point things where they are supposed to be pointed and leave some people out, because when you start looking at, you leave the right place to hit and you hit the wrong place, I bet you the problem will never be solved. We have to tackle the right problem at the right time and at the right place with the right people who are supposed to be there. Thank you.
Okay, this one says good evening, Mr. Leo. Those my boys in intelligence. Papa God will bless you all. Crise is writing from Limbe. Good evening to you in the studio. Good evening to you, especially thanks to Mr. Elvis for being the voice of the suffering masses in English Cameroon. Maybe long live Terence is writing from Mutengene. Mr. Leo, I'm grateful for the way the members of the panel talk. All the chiefs are doing what they are doing for the personal interest and not the interest of the people. Loa is writing from Ikondo Titi. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the crew on air. I'm Elvis from Moscow. Honestly, Mr. Liu, every day I wait for this time to watch your program with some of my Russian friends who are interested in Cameroon politics. Please tell Mr. Elvis that I need his contact. I would like to talk with him. I need his advice on some things very important about politics in Cameroon. Thanks. Just get to me after the program. I will send you Elvis's number. Please, sorry for the mix-up. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The opposition in Cameroon is not united because of the power and selfish gains. The chiefs are vulnerable to the government. The House of Chiefs and the regional councils have nothing to offer but to enrich some persons together with the elites. Okay. Net is writing from Boya. Hello, Mr. Leo. Good evening. This is for me from Bamenda. When a team is not functioning well, the coach gets sacked. So the same goes for Cameroon. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo. And panelists, your program is very educative. I feel ashamed when chiefs from other regions pity the population of the Northwest and Southwest, while the chiefs of these regions are careless. Greetings to Fire Elvis. Charles is writing from Yaoundé. Esther from Yaoundé says, good evening to you all in the house, Mr. Leo. I believe that our chiefs are not serious, so these chiefs of the West region should help them. Michelson, also writing from Yaoundé, says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I like your program, but please, the government are not getting English. If there could be, get us the Anglophones. Please speak in French for them to get you. Thanks. I love Cameroon. Michelson, writing from the USA. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to Mr. Fa. Traditional rulers in the Northwest and the Southwest are not serious. They have become house helps in the master's house in Yaoundé. Ndosak Collins, okay? Good evening to you, Collins. Good evening to all. More kudos to the kangaroo man. The chiefs are off the road for real. London is writing from the United Arab Emirates. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Mr. Bia has to take all the blames because he is the one the Cameroonians gave their mandate to manage them in 2018. Nor the people he appeared as ministers. Mume is writing from Douala here. Now, the traditional rulers in their letter are calling on the traditional rulers of all the 10 regions of Cameroon, the north, the Adamawa, far north, south, east, to also get implicated to finding a lasting solution to the Anglophone problem. Are we seeing the chiefs coming out of the shelves?
That declaration made by the chiefs in the West region, it will be difficult. As I said earlier, we have a senator who is a phone. He doubles as the national president of all traditional rulers in Cameroon. If you have that kind of person, and is a senator of the ruling party, now, and the president is the one to take that kind of move before it moves, do you see it moving? It has failed on arrival. Because this kind of friend who is a senator, who knows that if they want to take things as per se, it will jeopardize the status quo put in place, the quack status quo put in place by the Yaoundé regime, he will not champion that kind of course. Now, I said earlier that if you look at the current crisis, I have told people in Yaoundé that the manner in which the actions are coming on this crisis shows that things are falling apart between the English speaking and the French speaking in terms of governance. I have told Yaoundé. Because recently I saw chiefs from the South region who went to Yaoundé agitating that they are cutting trees, forest things, and they are not having their royalties. It was a good move. But if we have this kind of very chiefs going to Minat to say we want the war in the Northwest South to come to an end, if we have shown that we are living what we call vivre ensemble, I'm surprised if the CPD man was here, it would have been good because I like talking when they are around. But I pray that one time we should meet them here because they keep deceiving people every day of the issue of vivre ensemble. And I tell them, we don't have problem of vivre ensemble, the problem is the system. Because if Yaoundé meant business, the traditional rulers have made a declaration, they want it to go round. We would have heard that Lamidos from the far north are coming a declaration that no one in the Northwest South should come to an end. Now, it boils back to the fact that our traditional rulers in the West are talking because I said they are feeling the first and direct impact of the crisis. The man in the far north, how many IDPs are there? There are very few because of the distance. The one in South, very few are there, and many of them who are there are those who have been there from the beginning, who are working in the cocoa farms there from time immemorial. Very few are those who have been displaced. Majority of those who have been displaced are in the West region. And we're expecting some of them in the traditional rulers in the Littoral region, where they are there, and also in the center to have come out. But where are you seeing them? Because
but this is a call for them to come out.
That's why I said the call will not move Mr. Leo. I am talking here, not water my mouth. but because I'm looking at the fact that, one, the fact that almost all the traditional rulers have been civilizated. Now, when you civilize them, what do you expect? Because for them to stand on this course means they will surely be fighting Yaoundé regime. Are they sure? Are they ready to stand that? They are not ready. So at the end of it, the declaration is good. It's a good one. I keep saying that all the declarations put in place by these traditional rulers who are of level-headed, and I respect them, and I'll keep respecting them till they do us part, is very laudable. But now we are looking at the practicality on the ground. Are you sure the traditional ruler, the one of Mayor Mesala, will be able to come out and say the same kind of things? No.
What is bad? What is difficult in asking for giving up yourself, implicating yourself to forcing both sides in this conflict to stop?
The issue is simple, Mr. Leo.
Yes.
As I said, just to learn, the issue is that they will not easily move because first, a mechanism has been put in place. The mechanism shows that you can easily make a declaration for things you have direct concern or direct impact on it. So the next thing is, what is my gain? Look at the National Assembly, Mr. Leo. How many times have you seen a senator from the far north, from the south or east, standing in the National Assembly and say, if folk are gay, old, so sasaret?
There is the issue.
They don't have particular things there.
Yes, Mr. Leo, I want to come back to that. Actually, when you discover that these chiefs from the West region actually call on all the chiefs in Cameroon to come out, this is because they have actually, these are wise people. They have actually put themselves in a very cool head and see that they saw that actually only the chiefs from the West region or from the Northwest region can't do anything with the 1977 law organizing them. I want to be practical. It is good we see things the way they are. That's why I say it. Why? Because remember, during the grand national dialogue, the major national dialogue, what happened? We had problems affecting more of the Northwest and Southwest, but we had representative more from the other regions than from the Northwest and Southwest. This is because when you have a devilish regime like that which is in Yaoundé, when you have a satanic regime like that which is in Yaoundé, you have a regime which is so bent on holding on power no matter what, no matter the outcome. Then they are using all mechanisms in place.
You say satanic. This is not the regime that is providing
Mr.
you with security.
When
you live in Yaoundé.
Of course.
There is security in Yaoundé.
That go live in hell. Of course.
There is security in Yaoundé.
There is security
provided for by this same regime.
Mr. Leo, that don't live in hell like I just said before.
Yeah, but make your point without necessarily going.
Look, when you have a regime as devilish as this one, okay, it becomes so difficult to make distinction between things. Why do I put it that way? When you have a regime that has the powers and everything it takes to stop the war which is going on in the Northwest and Southwest, and they are playing the up and down games, what do you expect? This is because they want to hold on to power, and they will use every other means, tribalism, division, and why not separation among the chiefs? I want to tell you this. It is true the funds and the chiefs in the Northwest and Southwest, some of them are to be held accountable, but majority have that willingness, that zeal to wake up. But how can they wake up?
Let me cue you. These are traditional rulers who are traditional rulers because, according to the tradition, they were found worthy to lead their people.
They like the word they were.
Yeah. They were found.
Yeah.
Because they are now leading the people.
No, they are not leading the people anymore.
No, they are chiefs now.
Yes.
Are you saying that they are not?
They are decorated chiefs now. Okay, go ahead.
It is you who is saying. You just said you are fond of Balikumba. It's a dynamic. You said he is dynamic because it's your fun. That you want to call the chiefs and traditional rulers of other people devilish or that. My question is, if they are the leaders of their people, do they need the government to tell them to engage in actions that actually? Because if we take the case of the funds of the Northwest and the Southwest region, we can say their hands are tied because they are targeted. What stops their counterparts from the other 8 regions to come to their assistance? Is it the government that is telling them that don't do this in favor of your fellow colleagues who cannot even live in their respective villages?
Thank you very much. When I said some of them, which therefore means there are some of these chiefs who are actually doing a formidable job out there. Okay. But now, what actually stops them and what actually stops the other chiefs from the other region or the other funds from the other region to come to their aid? This is because
like I said before, we have to look things from the realistic point of view. The government in place is a government that has been in power for 38 years. Their rules are like the Bible that was written since I don't know when, and you are just to be reading every day in church and nothing to be modified. That is why you see people go into the National Assembly every day, and you have more and more important problems out, and they keep bringing up issues which you don't know where they come from. It is the same thing with the chiefs and the funds on the other side. The government has worked in a system that has built a system wherefore these chiefs, before now, they are tied their hands with party politics. They are tied their chiefdoms with party politics. That the government has squeezed the power which they used to have over their subjects away from them by bringing them into politics, conditioning them to buy to politics, which therefore means putting a chief on pay salary. Therefore means the chief is selling his or her power to the government in order for exchange of money. That is it. Because the government says you are auxiliary to the administration, it therefore means that you are some sort of under the control of the administration. So at this level, when you become under the control of the administration with the instrumentalization of bad faith inculcated into laws which ties their hands, what do you expect of them? Of course, it is difficult for them to come out. Those are among other reasons, the reason why they cannot really come out to help this. But that's why most people, proponents, will tell you that the only good thing which can happen to Cameroon is the dissolution of this government or the ousting of this government in place.
Now, these chiefs are receiving money from the government. Is it not taxpayers' money?
It is taxpayers' money.
So, if it is taxpayers' money, what stops them from doing their job?
What stops them from doing their job is the fact that their hands have been tied with party politics. Simple. From the day they have made them in Cameroon.
Is the fund of your village a politician?
The fund of my village, with the actual place which he finds himself, automatically is a political being.
Okay, it's a political being. You answered my question. Now, the chiefs of the southwest of the west region, they say they want the issue of the Anglophone crisis inserted in the agenda of the National Assembly so that finally this can be discussed at the Glass House.
These chiefs with this declaration have done well. If I see them, I will give them palm wine of the first order, fresh palm wine. Because the Kangaroo House in Yaoundé has been holding for years without taking center stage as priority in the agenda discussion of the Anglophone crisis. You can see how I say that people are wicked. Wicked more than Lucifer. Yes, they are hearing me. How do you explain that you have senators from the northwest, southwest? The only exception we find are people like Senator Kmer, Andy, who stood up clearly and spoke, but they bashed him down. So you discover that the whole house is full of people who are appearing like vampires. How do you explain that the chiefs in the West region are reminding the Senate and National Assembly what they were supposed to have done without being reminded? Do you think that is normal? Evil spirits are at work. Because for a senator to leave northwest, southwest, a parliamentarian to leave southwest and northwest, where he knows that he's gone battle, and sometimes he cannot even go back to where he is because there's some errors ungovernable, he's sitting quietly and he's working on budget, working on ratifying other laws that have come from the presidency. And they say this is more important business. And the other one was talking about how they had to buy their cars and all the like, when they cannot hold the truth and take things serious. That's why I've said, Mr. Leo, that the day I hear that National Assembly session is holding and a senator from Baturi stands up and tells you that no, if you're facing the Crise and the phone Sasaret, I will know that we are together. But the moment I don't hear them, even the one from Mayo Chanaga, I don't hear him talking. The one from Garabula, I don't hear anything. It means that they are for their personal pockets. That is the more reason why, from what the chiefs in the West region have said, it is laudable. The question is, will it go through? No. They will all say that move some on agenda.
You are indexing the MPs from Garabula and the rest, but should charity not begin at home? What stops
Mr. Leo
from the northwest and southwest?
Mr. Leo, you have a point. Should charity begin at home?
Maybe I should say something
Yeah,
here. Look, when we talk about the chiefs, why are they not standing up? I want to ask, in 2018, what happened with the SDF parliamentarians? Did they not step up in front of the National Assembly? What happened? They moved up to the public.
Yeah,
what
but
happened?
left them. Should you relent? You have to keep fighting now. You failed 10 times, but you keep.
We are talking about
keep pushing.
We are talking about a regime which is prepared to, if it means to waste everybody to remain in power, they will do it to remain in power. You understand?
You've not been wasted now,
Mr. Leo.
Yeah. What are we saying? I'm saying the same thing, that there are people who live in hell and they survive.
You know, I had told a parliamentarian in Yaoundé 2 months ago that if I was a parliamentarian, I would take a very long trailer into the National Assembly and block the entry. It's either we discuss Anglophone crisis or no session. It's possible.
Who will give you the trailer?
No person will give you the trailer.
You rent it.
That you will.
You rent somebody's
You
trailer.
can get it from, you are a parliamentarian, not asking who will get it. But I'm saying it's a possibility. Because what am I saying? Is to give you that, I'm giving the message that you could use any other means possible because it's your house. Once you're the National Assembly, it is your house. And so, those who think that the crisis means business to them are supposed to move, because don't be surprised if you begin. Before the next day, you have 2 or 3 sympathizers who start saying, before you know it, once you have 3, 4, 5, 10 parliamentarians saying, no, we should better wait on other agendas because desperate problems need desperate solutions. Why will a war in the 2 areas that makes the areas, some of the areas ungovernable, and some schools not operational in those areas? When we want schools, why would those things be operating and then people are still comfortable in their air conditions, Hotel de Député, Montfebio Hotel, and they are eating their champagne, they are drinking their champagne and eating the nice food, and they go and say they're deliberating on particular issues in national for our own good. Which good are they talking about? So it's the reason I say that senators who are serious, first thing first, if I hear that senator, because there was another West, we don't longer call them lawmakers any longer, because they have lost the alignment of being lawmakers that we should regard. Why? Why will stop an MP in the whole division to say no, enough is enough? Why will stop an MP in Akwaya to stand in the National Assembly and say no, this thing like that I don't think is correct? But because most of them are fighting for their stomach, I say stomach, they know what I'm talking about. That's why they fold their arms, they are waiting for their 40 million per one and other allowances to come in place. You can discover now that these people are not working for our good.
Okay.
Then how do you think that regional councillors work for our own good when those over there are not working for our good?
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all the panelists, especially to the Cameroon man. The traditional authorities should leave politics to politicians and face the crisis. Chiefs go into politics for their selfish interests. Chiefs should stay off politics. Fight to end the Southern Cameroon crisis. Daisy from Kumba. Good evening to you, Daisy. Hope Kumba is well today. Good evening to Mr. Leo Babila, writing from Limbe. Honestly, the Southwest chiefs and Fons are the most corrupt among other chiefs in Cameroon. They don't give an account to their people, but to the Yaoundé regime. Is that how they're supposed to work? Okay. Greetings in the house, Mr. Leo. All these things are happening in Cameroon now because the regime is old. And time of ruling is over, and he wants to separate Cameroonians before leaving the power. Oliver Twist is writing from Bonaberry. I love Sokoju, the king of Bamileke. Good evening, Mr. Leonard. I'm gone. Honest, writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Watching you give me hope, but just like a bird in land everywhere, not because it trusts at the place, but because it trusts at its wings. Let us all have self-trusting, and I'm sure change will endure. I'm Gerard, writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Gerard. Good evening, bro. It's Roland Neba. I'm writing from Kumba. Roland, good evening to you. Now, Mr. Leo, good evening. The chiefs are no longer traditional but political rulers, especially the chiefs of the incarnation, because not Mr. Lowa, writing from Ekondo Titi. Many persons think that the chiefs are so into politics and that there is need, it's time for them to hands off politicking.
Yeah, that is the ideology of the MP3. Look, when you hear the movement for patriotism and people's prosperity, it put at the center, at the epicenter, patriotism first. And if you have patriotism at heart, you discover that you have your people at heart. So the chiefs and the funds, whom before now have been the custodian. I remember before now, going back to my village, the phone used to be about 5 meters away from me when I want to greet the phone, and I have to bow down and clap my hands in order to talk to the phone. That is a respect. And when the chiefs opens the mouth to say a word, we all have to obey. Before the chief, when the chief talks, who is a senior divisional officer to talk when the chief talks? But today that is not the problem. The chiefs today were supposed to be that intermediary, that bridge, which was supposed to be served as some sort of mediating unit between the population and the government. But now they cannot actually do that. Why? Because they led themselves into party politics, and the MP3 had actually put forth this proposition to them that for us, in order to have a better country, to have a country where we will stop seeing our chiefs humiliated on daily basis, we will not see our funds being kidnapped on daily basis. The funds they have to leave aside party politics and concentrate on the original rule, which is the custodians of the laws and traditions of the people, the cultures and traditions of the people. Only when the chiefs and the funds they carry out this act, then they will have those powers over their people again. But as of now, where they are still fostering, I don't know, I want to borrow the word from my friend Mr. Evans, the kangaroo decentralization, where they are trying to foster in things which are party politics, and are putting it behind, and then they should understand that they cannot have powers to rule their people again. So it is a place for them to understand that if they have to maintain their power, then they need to leave party politics aside, then assume the position which they used to have before. Then that will give them the power and the position. And how does this actually happen? The chiefs from the West region, like I will come back to that, they proposed that the state should look for a way to create a national organ for the chiefs. Therefore, this is something similar to what the MP3 proposed. We proposed the Federal House of Chiefs, wherefore chiefs from all over the country will have to go through the federated state, then do elect themselves, then come to the Federal House, wherefore they will serve as a consultative and advisory body rather than a legislative body. Only when these ideologies and these ways are being implemented, which the MP3 has been put for them, only when this is being implemented, the chiefs will see no peace. But if they have to follow that, I think it will lead them out from where they find themselves today.
Okay, it will lead them out of where they find themselves today. For Elvis Tayon, they are pleading for the holding of another dialogue. Is it to say that these traditional rulers actually sat through and thought through what Cameroon is going through and are bent on saying into it that things are fixed?
These traditional rulers have carried the day in a very positive note. We were among those who said the dialogue in Yaoundé was a meeting bringing together regime members and their sympathizers. And so we said, in as much as the principles of dialogue and conflict resolutions were not applied in that dialogue, it is null and void. The evidence is that for any dialogue, if you finish a dialogue and people are still dying, people are still fleeing, it means something is wrong with that dialogue. There will be questions you'll be asking yourself. With whom did I discuss with? Were they principal actors in the current conflict? Did they agree with us as actors in the conflict for it to come to an end? If these questions are not answered, it means that no dialogue took place. So what the chiefs in the West, traditional rulers in the West region are saying, it's very correct. Whether Yaoundé likes it or not, there will be another dialogue. It will only be a matter of time. If some of us have already died, whatever, there will be a real dialogue that will bring to table stakeholders of this conflict, meaning the government and the non-state armed actors and any other party that will be attached to it, any other party figure. That's what I say party figure means, main actors will be attached to it. So what the chiefs have said is in line. Do you know that Northwest Funds Union was destroyed because of politics? Where is it today? Northwest Funds Union is nowhere to be found. And by the time they formed it, they looked for the president and appointed him as senator. Because they wanted to use that senator to be working for the regime. When Southwest Chiefs Conference was Southwest Chiefs Conference, anyway, who had traveled, who was the front from the BLM, was the president of the Southwest Chiefs Conference, the order before the president won. And why did the government pick presidents of Chiefs Conference in the Northwest, president of Chiefs Conference in the Southwest, and make them senators? Because they had to be using them as tools of propaganda for the regime. Where are we today? Southwest Chiefs Conference is limping. I say it's limping. They are understanding what I'm saying. Northwest Chiefs Conference has even disappeared. Southwest is even managing, and these are limping, but they are existing. Northwest Chiefs Conference has even disappeared. We are not even hearing about them any longer. All of them destroyed by politics. Therefore, if the funds in the West region are making these kind of declarations about genuine dialogue, I was surprised when doing the dialogue in Yaoundé, apart from the fund of the Bamoum area, the Sultan, who was categorical as the real funder, the rest were all talking water in their mouths. And at the end of it, what was the end result? We are still spending billions every day because we want to take care of security challenges. It's a thing we would have avoided long and diverted the money for health reasons and road infrastructure. So we need to understand that from the statement that those funds in the West region have said, I said I will respect them far than the CPDM funds in the Northwest and CPDM chiefs in the Southwest by far. So if I look at it critically, we realize that if we start to implement what they have said in all their points, Mr. Leo, all their points are making sense. It means that they have started to realize that, but how do we talk about dialogue when things are not improving on the ground? What we find in the Northwest Southwest is a change of scenario of the conflict. The way they used to come before and is no longer there. Now you could hear that a bomb is exploded here. You could see that here that somebody has been kidnapped. These are not things that we advocate for. There's no normal human being who would not want peace to return in the Northwest and Southwest. If Yaoundé region is hearing, I know they take this for granted. When we speak, they say, let's let bavard dès qu'il finit. Il faut se fatiguer. That's all the slogan I get. But I think that they should take what these funds from the West region have said seriously. If they keep away their arrogance, they keep away their intimidation of wanting to lock almost everybody for talking against them, and they take these points that these funds in this West region have put in place, I think they'll be making a leeway. Senators, I don't know how you sit in over there and parliamentarian, and somebody who is not even a parliamentarian tells you what to do. It is a shame. I mean a categorical shame for all the parliamentarians and the senators who sit there while chiefs in the West region are proposing what they're supposed to do, whereas they're supposed to take the bull by the horn and say, no, this is a budgetary session. We agree. But we think that away from the budgetary session, lives are at stake. The government is spending more budget on security than expected. We think that the issue should be addressed now and here. They are all myths. Okay. They should not bother.
Good evening, Mr. Liu. Why is it that Cameroonians are complaining about the regime of President Biya, but they cannot go out together and say enough is enough for Mr. Biya to resign? But we are there making noise every day in social media. Mr. Liu, I think you saw what happened last time in Zimbabwe. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Greetings to you all in the studio, especially Eli and his colleagues. The chiefs and the funds have to leave aside politics and look on the people that make them chiefs and funds. I'm Husseini, writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you, Husseini. Good evening, Mr. Leo. I like the way you handle this program. Let Cameroonians change their mentalities. How can someone appreciate his fund and call others devilish? We have seen SDF parliamentarians block the National Assembly session. Dialogue continues. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. The chiefs are not serious. They have sold their rights for stomach ache. Theophilus is writing from Kumba. Mr. Leo, I am Chief Wales Sangang III. I want to make an announcement. How much does it? My village, Moi Santa Penin, has been attacked by the Dio of Santa subdivision. I want to let the Dio know that Moi village and the chief is administrative legal in law. Since I don't obey him, he forced me to go as I do. How much does that announcement cost me? in your studio. Thank you. Your Highness, can you just call me after the program so that we discuss about that? Good evening, Mr. Liu, and to the panelists in the house. The declarations of the chiefs from the West region were genuine, but the truth is no member of government has thoughts about it, so it will fade away like other important declarations in the past. This is Divine, writing from Tico. Hello, Mr. Liu. Thanks. Let God bless you. What happened to Herod in the past will happen to these leaders. Thanks. Jofred, writing from Kumba. Thank you, Jofred. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The only MP in Cameroon is Honorable Weber from Jakiri. Can you remember his words last time? Okay, my humble greetings to you, Mr. Liu. Please, you guys should stop the calls. My humble greetings to you, Mr. Liu, and crew. In as much as I don't like the manner in which we are being governed, we shouldn't call it satanic also, because even the holy books, be it the Bible or Quran, tells us to respect our authorities because they are appointed by God. Maybe the decision to stay in power comes out of their selfish desires, but one thing still remains, that we should respect them. Noel, writing from Bankolo in Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu. From you in the studio. For all the problems we have in this country today, despite our crying and dying, is because of the people from okay, thank you, Mr. Liu. Ambate, writing from Kumba. Any message that is stigmatizing others, I won't read them. Any insultive message, I won't read it. Ngwa Comfort from Nkomo, Yaoundé. What do you want the chiefs to do in front of them? Okay, say the government is in front of them, Amber is behind them. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I love the way Mr. Elvis Tayon always puts his points. Please tell him to give me his contact. Abraham is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Thank God first for giving the chiefs the mind to come up with this. I pray that with the help of God, let what they have come up with be scrutinized. Lizzie Joy is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The chief sold us to the man of the Ndechi is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. President Biya have okay. Edwin is writing from Mr. Edwin from Bangu. He says the government has blind their eyes that they can no longer see or understand what the community needs, but what President Biya wants. Okay, Edwin from Bangu.
Maybe I should just clear out something in the air. You know, when I talked about because there's this commotion about my phone. You know, when I talk about him, it is because, like I said before, these people, if they had made mistakes before and now they realize that mistake and they're trying to make amends for it, it is worthy to actually to appreciate that, because only when you appreciate the little that someone does, then they can encourage the person to do more. And to be honest, I didn't insult any other phone, but I said there are some who are trying to make amends and there are others who are so adamant to make address. So you should get me well, I didn't call any of them evil, but I said the regime in Yaoundé and not the phones.
Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. Okay. He's saying all what he says because the MRC is represented nowhere. Chiefs of the Western region, whom he venerating now, are all auxiliaries of the administration. Okay, Padia Sanga is talking to Fire Elvis Tayon. Good evening to you, Paddy. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It is good that thing to express your mind, but let's not forget nobody is perfect. No matter how bad the ruling regime is, they also have their good things done. Let's avoid using evil to describe it, because if it were you are made part of the regime, things wouldn't have maybe be worse. Kibanya Mohammed writing from Douala. So please let not use those words as satanic and the rest. It's not good. You can still put forward your opinion without necessarily describing them that way. But when you hear the chiefs of the West region come out this way, can we see more power, pressure coming from the chiefs with the coming of the House of Chiefs?
Of course, this is just one of those steps that have been put forward, because it's not only the chiefs. Many stakeholders have already been talking, and the talk has been taking the air for this for a long period of time now. What we are expecting is how far what they have said and the declaration where we go to. But about the house of the house of the regional house of chiefs, which is coming on, of course we expect them that with the putting in place of this regional house of chiefs, they should have more. Their voice should be louder. They should be able to express themselves better. But when we find ourselves, the same thing that always draws us back is the fact that with the same regime in place, I don't know how far they are going to go. Because most of them have those good intentions that they want to portray, but with the regime in place, because you coming into the regional house of chiefs to say something contrary to the regime, in other words, it means that you want to send away the regime.
What are you saying? Are you saying that the regime does not want anything good for the nation? Why would the regime be putting in place a house that would be destructive to its system?
Mr. Leo, when you have a regime which is made, who are the chiefs that are going to the regional councils? Most of them are from the ruling party. And what are the objectives of the ruling party? It is to stay more in power. And staying in power for 38 years, we've seen what they have done. Cameroon has been going regressive instead of progressive. We have the highways, we have the Anglophone. I don't want to go to the other things. We have the Anglophone program, which has been going on for 4 years today. And if the regime in place has not been able to resolve, give concrete solutions to this problem, how do you expect?
Yeah, but is there a law that says that because you are in the CPDM, you must be destructive, you are not constructive?
It is true there are some few mindsets. Of course, we know them. I don't want to call names. Some of them have been on your panel for. There's some mindsets which are more constructive in that same party who are seeing things different. But the problem is, how much do their opinion count? The majority of them have been engaged. They have engaged themselves in embezzlement of state funds. They have engaged themselves in tribalism in order to stay in power. I want to bet you go up there to Yaoundé, where we come from. You go to an office or you go to a university, for example, like that which I come from, University of Yaoundé too. When you enter an office, what do you hear? People keep speaking one and the same dialect. What does that mean? It means that they want to conserve, and conserving power, they use what? Tribalism, the embezzlement. They try to recompensate those people who have the power to, or who can influence others to make them stay in power. So with this type of rule, with this type of technique in ruling people, what do you expect from them? You expect that they want to stay in power, and they will use even the chiefs, if it means using the chiefs at the regional house to stay in power, they will use and this we have seen them couple of times. So I don't see what is going to change.
But what we are talking about now is coming from traditional rulers. Are they not traditional rulers who are auxiliaries of the administration?
Are they not traditional rulers?
Are they not also receiving the salaries that we are talking about?
Are they not the same people who one of their recommendation is that the state should organize a new dialogue? The state should be able to see that there's a separation of power between the judiciary and the executive. The same they say that the electoral code.
Because all of what we are talking about today is coming from traditional rulers.
Yes.
Who are auxiliaries of the administration.
Yes.
Who receive salaries from the government. So what makes us think that as a traditional ruler you necessarily cannot bring forth positive
when we're talking about traditional rulers, we're talking about how many of them this signed, how many of them came up with these rules?
Yeah, it was not everybody. It was these are representatives from all the divisions of the West region.
Of course.
Yes.
But where does their power end? Where's the limit of their powers? It is true, the good minds are there, but they don't have the powers to implement it. It's not like all Cameroonians have had all the
from this. Can we also think that traditional rulers can also bring forth very constructive ideas and moves?
Of course, this is an example.
Given the opportunity.
I like the statement you say, if given the opportunity, Mr. Hill.
That is it.
If given the opportunity is a good phrase. The state will not give an opportunity that you will work against his Machiavellian system. They will never go. This Yaoundé regime, not the different one, this particular one. So, Mr. Leo, just like what BrigadeAntiSardinard said, because MRC and all the like, I have the impression that he does not even understand what we're talking about here. Because when you BrigadeAntiSardinard, you say we're talking because MRC is not represented. MRC is not represented because the regime was against MRC being represented as per se due to their highly dictatorial system. If not, some of them will say petit parti politique, but the impact of it is that when the party coughs, Yaoundé regime trembles. You will not be doing that if you don't have any impact. So at the end of it, we think that if a level ground is placed for all of us to play the politics, Party Asaka will understand where MRC stands. I hope not long from now he will get to know that. Now, as a matter of fact, if we come back to the issues of the chiefs that we're talking about, when we talk about chiefs, Mr. Leo, first thing, if you see us using the chiefs are negative, it's because majority of them. I started use some examples different out of it, like the phone of Baba One, the phone of Gunoko. Is not into party politics anywhere. It's not because I come from Gunoko, but it's not into party politics. They have the phone of Barakwe around my big area. It's not into party politics. These are the exceptions that we talk about, and there are many. There are few, not many. There are few who are not into that system. But so they will kill the dam. If you take their salary, you kill them, you suspend it. They don't think you can drag the consciences as many have been made to dance in that system. Look at it. How do you explain that in the CRM party, for example, because a traditional ruler in the central region becomes an advisor to Professor Maurice Kamto, he's dethroned following a ministerial order from Minan. How do you explain that?
Yeah, but why don't you also encourage that?
How do you explain that?
Why don't you also encourage that traditional ruler not to meddle into politics?
How do you?
Why don't you also discourage his involvement in politics?
Yes, why we are saying so? He is not supposed to be involved in the politics, as I've said. I've said it several times on the platform, Mr. Leo. Why some of them mainly into it is because some of them think that they can make some changes in one way or the other. But where is the main problem, Mr. Leo? If you are a traditional ruler, you are not supposed to be into politics, and circumstances are forcing you because you want to change the living standard of your people, it becomes different from the man who fights for his own pocket. Mr. Leo, anybody in the system, I've said this over and over, who thinks that he is going in because he wants to bring development to the people is a lie. The main issue is they themselves first, while any crumb can come in the name of for the people, and that's the reason why you see them quiet.
Are you into politics because you want to serve yourself?
I'm talking about traditional rulers. I'm a traditional ruler. I'm talking about the scenario of the traditional ruler. Okay. That's the reason I explained to you that if you look at Northwest and Southwest, keep asking the question, where is the Northwest Funds Union? Where is the Southwest Chiefs Conference? Many things are wrong along the line. Why? Where are the divisional funds union and the divisional chiefs conferences? If they are limping, some not even existing any longer, it's because of the party politics.
Would the coming of the House of Chiefs, would the coming of the House of Chiefs in the Southwest and Northwest regions not fix things to some extent?
Mr. Leo, people should hear me and hear very well. If anybody, anywhere in this planet, not even Earth, Jupiter, Mars, Neptune, tells you that something will come out from the regional elections and the regional House of Chiefs, that person is daydreaming.
Are you not saying so because the MRC is not taking part?
Not so, Mr. Leo. This is political analysis now I'm talking about. If you look at the modus operandi of traditional, the role traditional chiefs are supposed to play in the House of Chiefs and the regional councils, Mr. Leo, when you are only to propose, even the decision we talk about DDR and all like bilingualism, the moment Bilingualism Commission has the power only to propose and cannot sanction, is null and void. And that's why you see, even we still have errors of communiques coming up in one language, and some ministries put out communiques. And what does the commission does? He only comes to beg on you because he does not have the power. He can only write to Yaoundé or to the 2D. So when you don't have the powers to execute, Mr. Leo, you are only to propose.
Would you be saying so if the CRM had taken part in municipal and parliamentary elections and had won a great number of municipal councillors?
No, if they are taking part in municipal elections, it's different. I will not comment much on that. You know why? Because the election, the decisions you take at the level of municipal councils are around the corner, which means they have direct effect on the people. Which, for example, what am I saying?
Well, if you had won a good number of municipal councillors and your party,
if the system was not working, I will still condemn Mr. Leo. If the system is not working, we're talking about institutions and a system put in place by Yaoundé regime. You cannot pretend to say it will work when it's not going. There are a few councils that are exemplary. You cannot damn all the councils. Why are we really saying so? The councils are in the way that if a mayor wants to take a gutter, it doesn't need to go to Yaoundé. But at the same time, there are errors in the functioning of local councils, whereby some major decisions you must have supervisory authority present for it to go.
When they start dabbling into issues of transition, are they not getting into clear politics here?
No, they are very straight to the point. That is why I still appreciate this point, this declaration from these chiefs from the West region. They are clear to the point. They have studied Cameroon.
What do you mean by they are clear to the point?
What do you mean by they are clear to the point? Because they themselves have realized that decentralization is a scam. Decentralization is a no-go process for Cameroon. If we want to continue decentralization, it means that we are leading Cameroon, and those that are continuing with it are leading Cameroon to a doom. What will you expect about decentralization where this is the regional elections coming? You have the same councillors that are coming in, which means it will produce the same effect like the other elections. So they prefer a transition of power because, to my understanding, I will tell you that they have also noticed
a transition of power from who to who?
Of course, the transition of power, because on the other side, one of the points was that the state should sit among the opposition leaders and the leaders and see how they can bring up someone. Then the next point was what? They should try to see a transition of power, which therefore means that they believe that the present head of state is not longer that fit, is no longer having that energy to rule the state. So they believe that there is a need and an urgent need for transition of power, which MP3 and its mother organization platform, the Stand Up for Cameroon, has been singing for long now.
The Stand Up for Cameroon wants transition, the MRC wants transition, MP3 wants transition, I'm sure PAP too. Now the chiefs, are they not going political here?
No.
Is that their role?
What is politics?
You all have been saying that they should stay out of politics.
Yes.
But now they are wanting to decide for a voted president to be ousted. When they know that the legitimate way, constitutional way of taking over power is elections. Now they are advocating for transition. How do you get the transition effective without elections?
Yeah, these are two things. Now we should be capable of distinguish two things. Politics, in the sense of there's party politics and there's politics. We are, each and every one of us is being governed by politics, and for the fact that we are being governed by politics, all of us has to be involved, because politics has to do with the way we live. If the Northwesterners are crowding the West region, it's causing insecurity and other things, economic hardship, is because politics is at play. But now it becomes dangerous when you talk about party politics, where you see something wrong and you cannot point it because you tie to one person, which is your leader. That is one of the differences.
We have just 5 minutes.
Yes.
My question to you is, how do you get transition in Cameroon without involving in elections? How?
That is why they had to put up that
It's
the
possible.
powers that be have to sit in place and make the decision. They have to concert together between the opposition, the diaspora, and the Cameroonian people. And for that to happen, the Stand Up for Cameroon has put in place rules.
We are talking traditional rulers.
Traditional rulers are
where is it found in the constitution?
They are leaving it in the hands of
the traditional ruler says the government is not respecting the constitution, opposition parties are not respecting the constitution. They are pushing for a transition.
Yes.
Are they not also disrespecting the constitution? Where is it found in the constitution?
It is true that there is no way in the constitution is clear. There's a court clear. There's a court cutting that there needs to be a transition of power, except in the instances where there is the death of the president or something where the president of the Senate can govern for a period of time.
Are these traditional rulers not playing in favor of an opposition leader here?
No, they are not playing at all.
Yeah, because you want transition.
Mr. Leo,
yes.
Let me answer this. If transition is not found in the constitution, but it doesn't mean that in the case and in the time when things are falling apart, there can be no urgent measures to revamp a current situation. For example, we understand that at the level of President Paul Biya, he took over from Haijo, it was not through elections. I'm sure you will bear with me in that.
Yes, but what happened was in the constitution.
Now, I know.
Yes. Constitution, yes.
What I'm saying is that if you look at how it transpired, it was in the constitution. Now, in the present quagmire where we find ourselves, the aspect of what we call transition cannot be completely ruled out. Why do we say so? In the governance system, just like if you move over to RDC or you move over to Togo, I'm talking about French-speaking African countries. They don't have it enshrined in their constitution, but it states but it moves operational in their governance system that in a moment whereby somebody have not been placed, for example, under some certain parameters to take over the incumbent, transition, so long as it could be peaceful, can be put in place. For example, President Paul, if he gets up today and thinks that there's not somebody he thinks could be competent, or for one reason or the other, could think that, all right, let me put probably an English speaking, for the sake of peace to reign, can equally put in place the system of transition.
But he will respect constitutional dispositions.
Now, wait, that's what we're saying, that if you put in place
that means that maybe the constitution would need to be revised.
No, it needs to be, obviously, yes. It needs, you could revise the constitution if you want to put in place a particular article to go through for the sake of peace. Remember, we're talking about governing where the people are at heart, and not you, the man holding the power at heart. So if you love Cameroon, and you get to a point whereby you look at it, you want to resign, for example, and you don't want, probably the parameters are not permitting, maybe the Senate to take over the period in time, or the Prime Minister, then a transition that could be put in place under parameters agreed by the stakeholders. Which means if you think that you can put a transition where the oppositions will agree with the common candidate and all the like, you could put candidate and you put choose. And the one you think is, okay, it's all right, take this for about 3 months or so, while we now prepare for a real election and all the like. All is possible in the preamble of governance in any country, depending on how you put it and how you approach it, provided it will not bring about peace and chaos within the country. So we think that, Mr. Leo, transition is possible. That's why we say that if Yaoundé thinks that they cannot govern, they should not be ashamed. Putting in place another ad hoc committee where opposition parties will see and say, all right, who do you think can actually take for now while you prepare the groundwork? I think that some of the parties, CRM and the rest, could be readily available. If not, we'll continue witnessing what we call intimidation. I keep on telling you, why is it that each time CRM is on the move, intimidations come on? They are locking our members in prison. Barrister Tamfu was coming out with suspended jail sentence. Barrister Wasumispa and all the like. So if you look at it critically, I keep asking, what has CRM done? Yet they tell you that, like what Padre Ataga is saying, the party is not represented anywhere. But he fails to understand that the issue of representation is not just the issue. The issue is, what impact is that party doing to see for the well-being of the people? If that be the case, then it means the party is what commendable for what the party is doing. And I think that's what we are doing here, because we'll not sit and fold our arms for things to fall apart. People are shy to come out. When we come out, when we're arrested, we're intimidated every day by the regime. Why? Because the regime knows that if the regime takes things lightly, we are acting as eye-opener to the population to know that the regime has been lying for long.
Okay, we want to say we thank you for coming to educate our televiewers on this edition of the program. Prince Joel was supposed to be part of the program, and Elizang was supposed to represent the CPDM party on this edition of the program. I'm sure they were held back by unforeseen circumstances. Far Elvis Tayon representing the CRM party on this edition. Thank you for coming.
Thanks very much, and we shall continue to resist and denounce wrong things and wrong governance till that do us part.
Okay, thank you to Kotem Prince Will from Yaoundé, representing the MP3 party.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. The movement for patriotism and people's prosperity is very open for all young Cameroonians and every Cameroonian, because it doesn't just matter and it doesn't just depend for us to stay back home and hold the chiefs accountable and every other authority. But we must engage. All the young people in Cameroon must engage in order to take decisions that concern them and leave the blaming issue aside. Okay. God bless Cameroon.
Okay. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch the program. And to the technicians, we say thank you. And to you, Tabi, Tambe, Bryant, supervising our work out here, we say thank you. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.